put Tyloo top 3 their last 3 lands, big lands. We're talking CAC, Shanghai, Sydney, and then even if they managed to get through them, which of course they did in the quarterfinals, it was likely going to be Optic that they would face. And again, that's been a team that we expected to be here today in the grand final. So yeah, Kingwood, as much as they would have loved to play VP, I doubt they really believed it. However, they've surpassed all expectations and odds, and now hey, best team in Poland.
Best team in Poland. Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, making a run for it, right? We haven't seen the new AGO.
This is like Zeus leaving Navi and then winning a major.
Yeah.
Before Guardian, right? It's
the Taz equivalent.
Obviously, it's a bit more of a joke, but definitely could be a contender for this in terms of being the best team in the country in the future. I feel like we need to see it a little bit more repeated.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know Virtus.pro are still going to be going through some shaky stuff with Bialy departing as, in the near future. You think that AGO have just lost what could have been one of their most crucial pieces in the form of Snatchy to VP. So we have two teams in that regards kind of shuffling themselves still, and AGO has therefore lost that consistency in their roster. It's one of the things that we claimed they had, was that the longest standing CSGO roster at the time. Now Kingwin seemed to be the longest standing Polish roster. So it's a scene that's definitely going through some changes right now, and I feel like it's coming after a lot of other countries started to shake things up domestically, and so it's definitely open for the taking. And if they are able to give us a good showing here on the final stage, then you could definitely give them some regards. But they have their work set out for them. Mohan, these are superstars on screen.
Yeah, I actually had Stewie come up to me in the lobby today at the hotel. He's like, Anderson dropping 30. He didn't say which map. So
30 in the series.
I'm going to hold him to maybe 30 overall.
I hope he's got more than
10
that.
10 frags in map, 0-3. No, yesterday, honestly, it seemed like he was really mad. Like the way that he was playing, it seemed like he was mad right from the start. Like he had something to prove. Like he had a chip on his shoulder. Like he had no respect for any team here, and he came through and he dominated. He was really good.
That's what we want, though. We want this Brazilian era back, and of course Stewie being from the US, but Brazilian core, of course. We want this team to be back at the top level. Obviously, it's been a bit of a time since we've seen them at that major grand final spot, but hey. This could be the rise. We've got Yanko back in as coach. We've got another American player added to the roster. Communication seems to be on point right now. And, hey, this is the first event of hopefully many for them.
And if this is an experiment that works, this is a team. There's no one on this team who would swipe left on, right? You've got a bunch of players that all on their own could be stars on top teams. Every single one of them could be a star on another top team. And yet they can also potentially work together. That is one of the most kind of tested experiments in the history of CSGO. Like, how do you get 5 players that are all good enough to play on a team and operate together? This is one of the only experiments that might work.
They've laid down the framework for what is an incredibly high skill ceiling, and now it's just going to be a matter of building up that structure and adding the infrastructure next to it in order to legitimize what could be. Because like you say, we're talking superstars, very plug-and-play type players as well. And that's what we saw this weekend, is we've seen everybody contributing evenly. The kill distribution has been so even across this entire team. And honestly, I think Fallen has returned to form that I haven't remembered seeing him with in a very long time. Most notably, again, on Inferno. Like, individually speaking, he's just taking that map by control. In the closest of rounds at times, where we've seen both Flash and MVP try and just rob even 3-4 rounds, it was always Fallen who comes in those closest of moments to just reject them, right? He's got the straight arm right to the forehead, face in the dirt, no chance. Nobody's been able to stop them as of yet.
More players on PUBG Mobile than on PUBG.
Come on, buddy. Let's get to the real games.
Hugo, you love PUBG.
I do love PUBG.
We always play PUBG, the 3 of us.
I know. And now we're casting together here in Hong Kong with 300K on the line.
Yeah.
Certainly a bit of an upgrade.
Yeah, that's true.
Folks, we have a second interview primed up, ready, and for you. Don't go too far. It's MIBR, and we're going to hear what they have to say before this tournament even started.
I think the teams who are playing this tournament kind of agrees that we are the best team here at this competition. It adds a little bit of pressure, but for us it's important to play this tournament and take the trophy home, because we have a lot of tournaments coming the way, and winning ZOTAC is going to be very important for us in this next step. Lei Roma ou High Fallen, tot se daiga.
Fallen, a man of many talents, and now one of them being Cantonese.
Yeah, both him and Paula working on their vocabulary this weekend.
Paula and his English.
Yeah. That's step one.
He's still picking it up.
Yeah, he's working on it.
Well, I'm excited to see this veto come through as well, especially. What do we expect? Obviously, this is just going to be 2 bans and then the rest of the 5 maps in whatever order these 2 teams please. So
I was kind of wrapped up in thinking about how every single player on Kinguin has their hair parted in a different direction. So we've got south to north on, I think, is it Reeds? Rallen goes right to left. Taz got the no hair going on. And, that's in the no direction. And then
it's just center.
One straight up as well. Ooh, little cardboard cutouts. The M4 is a little Icarus fell.
Yeah, we've seen some good memes so far this event, I will say.
You may, oh, yeah.
You make my karambit go bayonet.
Bayonet, yeah.
See what he's done there.
Yes. Oh, whoa. I haven't seen that one before. All right. That's cool.
They have fresher memes than I do at the end of the day. Are you trying to figure out that?
How did he
do
that? Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm trying to do it right now.
It'll be on.
I can do this, but my headphones are in the way.
Yeah, go get it all over your makeup.
I can do this.
I just want to smudge it, right? I'm gonna have a black eye in a sec from where you beat me.
Hugo's just making finger glasses at this point. Guys, I can do this thing that's not nearly as impressive.
Hey, it's fine. We're not on camera. I don't have to embarrass myself.
Yeah, these guys don't care that they're on camera, so I should.
Whoa! I know that one.
That's your signature move, Connor. Of course you know that.
Oh. Phone fingers on top of banging sticks.
This is
they snuck an angle out on this guy. So
yeah, they caught him off guard.
Yeah.
Here we go. The bans. That's what we were waiting for, and they are ripe. Kinguin continue the trend of taking out Inferno. MIBR want nothing to do with Nuke, which we watched Kinguin and Ghost play on yesterday. And then, of course, we have our picks laid out ahead of you.
Dust 2 for Kinguin, which is an interesting choice. Definitely probably a decent map to pick. I mean, I guess it comes down to the bans, right? They get to pay it, and the side choice, I guess, means that you want to pick the most neutral map for your first choices, so you don't get side choice and end up playing T-side Train or playing T-side Nuke if you don't like it. Here, MIBR banned Nuke and Kinguin banned Inferno. It's a map they don't play. These are very expected, and it's going to be pretty clear that. Let's think about this. So if we give Dust 2, let's say we give Dust 2 to Kinguin, which I'm not even sure I would. MIBR definitely would take Cash. They can take Train as well, and then Mirage. Yeah. There's still so many ways for MIBR to just win this.
I really wanted to see Mirage, but I agree with you. Like it's so hard to bank on Kinguin even getting a map here. It seems like a different level of opposition, especially considering how well MIBR have played throughout this entire event. They've barely been dropping rounds, you know. Even with that MVP game yesterday, I was watching it. It started off, pretty close. MVP were up to like 7 rounds, and then, okay, here we go. MIBR turned on now, and they're just going to stomp.
We did see yesterday that on Dust 2, they looked. There were some surprising moments from them. Even it's like MIBR turned up near the end. But it looked like a pretty good showing from MVP on Dust 2, and that's not even a map they wanted to play.
There was definitely improvements from the first showing we had of MVP, where they only got a single round. So we had to give some clout to that, but also as well, I feel like MIBR may have let off the gas pedal with that map, maybe thinking that they had it so secured. We saw some silly stuff start to shine through. But now, what's interesting, though, is if we were going to give Mirage as the map that Kinguin may have had one of the best chances on, it's now going to be that 4th map, which means if they can even pick up one of these initial 3, then when they go to extend into a, what would be then the deciding map, the 4th one, assuming they can get one of the first 3, that's where they may have their best chance in general. And that would therefore lead us to a 2-2 split and get into the fifth and final map. And of a BO5 final, that's where I want to go. I want to go the distance here. It's not going to be easy. It's not. Kinguin have their hands so full. I think they have to tap into the skill that we may have seen, shimmers of
But again, every time we've written off Kingwin at every single junction, right? The Tai Lu game, well, I mean, I predicted them, but they've come into games as underdogs and they've still managed to perform and show us what they're really made of. Even in the Ghost game, where I would say, yeah, maybe they were more expected victors. We both picked Ghost just because of how flashy they were on that first day. So we've not expected Kingwin to get this far, and we can't keep doubting them. They've clearly proven themselves, and they've clearly come into this event prepared. I hope they can take some maps here.
So what are you saying, Hugo? Going against the Tide here?
Of course, Kingwin 3-0.
Kingwin 3-0. All right. We've just made a few Polish fans.
I'll go for the ballsy Kingwin win pick, but only to be glamorous and a little bit out there. But
okay.
Yeah, really, I mean, I don't think it's even fair to say that the MIBR shouldn't win this every single time.
But that's...
No, don't also say that.
Okay, I'll pick MIBR. I'll just be safe then.
Oh.
Yeah, because that is...
Well, that's boring, Hugo. So...
Well, but now if I say Kingwin, I've already said...
I want you to go against the grain and like it.
Okay. Well, I do like Kingwin, so...
Okay.
Let's hope they surprise us here today.
I think MIBR are coming into this tournament, and they are just taking heads. We've seen them give up so few rounds already, and you could argue it's because they've had a larger skill gap to try and exert. But I don't think Kingwin, despite them having made some very real growth in the last 6 months, have grown enough to legitimately be considered as a contender versus MIBR here on the biggest of stages of the weekend.
I mean, when have we ever seen this Kingwin lineup play such a good team on LAN? The answer is never. This is the best team they have ever played on LAN with this 5-man lineup. So there's no way they're going to know what to expect in that sense. You may have done your prep, but prep only goes so far once you're into the server up against 5 of the best players from their regions.
Everybody got a plan until they get hit.
Yeah,
yep.
There we go.
I think there might be 1 or 2 players on this team that are just happy to be here, happy to be in a final, happy to do international competition, happy to be here with Taz. Taz himself, anything but winning this tournament is nothing, right? I mean, he's got so many more accolades to measure himself up against.
That's one of the things that actually I'm going to kind of give a notch to Kingwin for, is at least you have Taz, who has been here time and time again. It's not a complete and total 5-man team of newcomers, right? No one's going to, at least you know that even if 4 players are shook into the core because of the stage and the intimidation and the pressure of the moment, Taz is going to be fine. And if he's able to then cool everybody off, allow for them to, in their composure and calmness, hit shots, then we definitely have something of a game on our hands. My eyes are going to be drawn towards Maus. I think he has had some of the highest of performances for this Kingwin side, but he's also had some of the lowest. And if they're going to be contenders in this series in particular, then I don't think he can cool off as much as we've seen in the first 2 days.
I mean, we need Maniz as well. He was one of the, at least a year ago, like one of those big upcoming Polish stars, and he certainly looked good on the AWP, especially so far this event. But yeah, he needs to keep it up. He can't afford to cool down here in the grand final. I mean, the thing is, we need everyone on Kingwin firing off on all cylinders, and still then, I'm not convinced. It's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be an easy 3-0, is it?
No.
Okay. We've got one. I want to punch in here on Taz. Fortunately, we don't have the good angle, but he's the one talking in this situation. They aren't just all sitting around in a circle and meditating. He's there hyping them up, giving them a speech, the war leader, leading them into the battle.
Yep. And if we're talking mentality and the way that Taz can influence it.
They're trying to get him to start the game.
Yeah.
So just taps him.
Everybody just come a little closer.
Excuse
the circle
me,
gets
war
smaller.
speech time. Excuse me.
Yeah. If there is anything to be given away in terms of mentality and confidence, then at least King would have absolutely nothing to lose, because they've already turned heads this weekend. They've already accomplished what could be considered in most of their minds an accomplishment. Obviously, Taz wants the whole damn thing, but it's unarguable to say they haven't at least made me content with this result.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got to keep our eye on Kingwin going after this event and where they're going to approach. You know, is this going to be a one-hit wonder? Are we going to see them in some more online qualifiers, maybe making a 250K event anytime soon? Because that's the thing, right? Even if you're of the level to compete, it's one level, it's one part to be of that level, but a second part to actually get to those events, you know, whether that be through invites or qualifiers. You've got to prove yourself more than once. So let's hope we see Kingwin at least carry on this performance post ZOTAC, even without, like, disregarding the result here.
It was cool to see Fallen and Taz standing beside each other on stage, and the mutual respect and admiration that they have for each other. And Fallen, a player who has run the gambit until in terms of the amount of time that he's played, excuse me, as well as just how many like amazing results that he's achieved, and he clearly has that kind of like understanding that even though when he came into CSGO and hit his peak well after Virtus Pro did, there's just so much to be said about how good Virtus Pro were at the time, how big of a part of that Taz had, and even now I'm sure he respects him as a competitor, and it shows.
I think everybody has to, right? Whether or not you're a CS fan or not, just what Taz has done, you absolutely have to.
It's true.
Yeah, it's crazy that one player can revitalize an entire roster that was kind of in limbo before he even joined, right? We've already kind of mentioned this before.
We speak of him revitalizing the lineup, but remember how fresh it must be for him himself, because he has publicly said that, you know, after Virtus Pro, this is the only thing he's doing. If it's not Kinguin, then he's done.
Yeah.
So this is his final project, and if he is finding success with it, then maybe there is still many Kinguin games to come. But here's the first one, folks, because the grand finals of the ZOTAC Cup Masters 2018 begins here on Dust 2.
And we're straight into this one. It's Kinguin kicking things off on the T side. We've got MIBR triple long set up to begin things and an early B presence waiting for a potential rush. Kinguin, they've been buying up a lot of utility on these T side pistol rounds, and this time is no change. It's a fast cap play, but with the bomb back in tunnels, surely they're going to fall back eventually.
For close to the door. There's not going to be a player that can help him unless he evacuate B, and they actually do that. Stewie is here being very proactive, working back from the window. He's kind of just on patrol as they seek out information, knowing a rush is not coming soon.
For the second he sees that player through doors, wants to come join inside of the B site, and it makes sense because they have shut down the initial push. It is 4 headshots and possibly the 5th onto Rawl, and last man up through middle's putting up some kind of a fight. He has at least shaven 2 off of the number count, but no bomb, not much time. This one was so quickly taken by MIBR, he is left picking up pieces.
It's not like Rattlin isn't a player with experience here. One of the other guys who's been at least deep in, or been on that big major stage with Taz, but it will only take him so far. 2 kills, MIBR will pick that round up, and clean as you like it, 1-0 on the board.
I want everybody in the chat to just put yourself in the shoes of Kinguin. When you're on Dust 2, there's so much emphasis on individual efforts on the CT side, and I want you to pick a site, and I want you to like visually think about where do you want to break in first. Do you want to go mid against Fur? Do you want to go against Fallen, Coldzera, or Tarek at long? Would you rather go to Stewie at B? No, there's not going to be any free or easy openings. There's no one to bully.
Fallen's going to have to take the brunt of the second round, and already it's a single kill for him. Tarek to support, and they've convinced Kinguin to retreat already.
Rattlin getting tagged up as well with that scout certainly doesn't make things easy for Kinguin. This second round, Force Buy is getting mowed down. Bit of utility to still get them out potentially into middle, but even so, getting there is half the battle. You've got Fur and now Coldzera moving into position, so a double setup here for MIBR, and Kinguin, they're looking ready to go for it, but a smoke will slow them down.
Zeno posturing for a cat burst as his teammate starts to jump up on the Xbox. Coldzera's going to hear what's going on here, and this mid to B smoke won't do anything with the amount of players that are ready for it. Cold also takes first peek, and that's going to activate the rest of Kinguin.
Instantly pulls himself back into the CT spawn, so getting a little bit closer to try and help out with what could be the catwalk push, confirmed by Tarek. He's unable to connect the kills just as of yet, but these terrorists are going to be caught out in no man's land. The bomb thrown to the dirt as well. And while Manize has something of a fight to put up here, there's been an additional damage. Stewie tagged up by the scout. There can still certainly be a chance for Kinguin to take down some bodies, but it's looking worse and worse as time goes on.
Yeah, time will be the final enemy. MIBR picking up that second round, and as well keeping 4 players and plenty of rifles. So good money for the CT side to start things off. Kinguin, on the other hand, they've got to go for that Glock round. It's never fun. Grit your teeth and take it.
Yeah, they've actually dropped because I think they lost one of their players, so they just dropped to pick up an MP9, and that is a more ways to farm. And because they're on the CT side, you can't actually guarantee that the kills will come to you. So I expect that we'll see these players used as scouts to try to go ahead and find the kills themselves. Free excuse to push for information. Might be a tact pause called.
I think it's a tech.
Tech, okay. A little bit early.
Yanko? recent coach to MIBR in the background.
When's that not going to be weird? Seeing Yanko in the background.
It's never not going to be weird.
Especially going to events and like seeing him and going. I mean, we've all had that exact same thing this event. We saw Yanko and we were like, wait, I swear we're the only commentators.
I literally said, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
Am I throwing to you or? Like The funniest part was when he said that he joined MIBR so that he could avoid rehearsals
and having to wear a suit.
Yeah,
that's another thing with Yanko. I mean, I would argue after the departure of Semler, best dressed CSGO talent.
I haven't seen his arms in a long time.
No,
that's true. And very true. The best suits.
Exactly. I'm going to try to get some half off from him.
I don't know, dude.
From Serbia?
Yeah.
Have you seen Bardov's scuba gear?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, it's actually TV ready.
Very true indeed. We're back into it, folks. Obviously, this one not going to be the best look for Kingwin, those poor guys. But they sit back, and MIBR are going to be playing proactive despite having such a huge advantage. Maybe they just want to bully them back. Convince Kingwin this one's already over.
Yeah, flexing on them, it seems. We've already got Stewie pushed up into the tunnels as well to make matters worse, but the real fight's going down on long, where coldzera hides in the corner. They walk into him one by one, and this is looking too easy for Cold. Third kill coming through, eventually overwhelmed by the P250, but it's a small loss. He would have wanted to upgrade that MP9 anyway. So now the buy round, Connor. Now the chance to see what Kingwin are made of.
There's one op immediately picked up, and it's going to belong to Fallen. Spawn closest to mid, actually, so if anybody wants to try and challenge from Kingwin, then they have to be cautious because that scope could be so quickly honed in on them.
There's a lot of different ways to approach mid as an opper on the CT side. With a good spawn like that, you know, it's common to try to go for it, but it's obviously a T-sided affair because this T spawn right in front of it.
Oh,
wow.
Goodbye. First entry coming straight through, but coldzera somehow holding the line with a FAMAS. Fallen's even moving in to help him out. And quick as you like it, Kingwin may have had that man advantage, but it was so short-lived.
That was an excellent FAMAS play. I mean, we're 7 or 8 rounds deep into his spray down when he connects those headshots, so clearly competent with the lesser rifle. It looked hot. There was that instant headshot. Seemed as though they had the opening, but this, I think, goes back to what you were talking about, Mohan. Even if you take down one of the key pieces of MIBR, look at the other 4 names that are still standing to trade frag.
Pick your poison.
Your job gets no easier.
Rowlin, only 1 letter away from being fallen, but 1 shot away from death as well. As we've got the top opper over at Markelov and Fur to make sure that no one can lurk out mid. The #1 problem for Kingwin at this point is the amount of money that MIBR have already made with that rifle round, saving 4 on that anti-eco, funneling all the players into MP9s, and this is a second frag that you wouldn't normally see. Any FAMAS 2K is impressive for a good reason.
And he found us 1K.
And he found us 1K, yeah. It's a mag size small, you know, it's 25 bullets. The fire rate's so high, you always end up using more than you'd like. But he managed to pull the trades together. And this is maybe where Kingwin start to explore other options. Everyone's got a mid to be on an eco round. Let's see how good Kingwin's is.
Ooh, it's going to be the anti-flash by the player up close. coldzera having Fur try and welcome them in. The utility for Kingwin yet to have been committed to this play, but they are in position to throw it. So they chuck it out. And the first frag belongs to Cold. First here to try and trade, and they're not able to get through this doorway. It was given as an opening, seeing as the CTs immediately retreat, and poor Manice hasn't been able to find his eyes open onto the B site. The pinch that was meant to be was shut down initially. Now they have another minute to work with 3 remaining players.
And you can see how fearful they are as well. The gun was even dropped in the doors from the body of coldzera, but Kingwin aren't even attempting to take it. They were convinced that MIBR were watching over middle. Instead, though, Fur's fallen right back. That's a gun in, well, at least the face of Kingwin, but they're not going to go and pick it back up, leaving just these pistols still in play and 40 seconds left up to make a decision. In the meantime, though, MIBR repositioned. We've got Tarek already aggressive on short, so will Kingwin expect that? That's the question, because he's about to strike, and there's the first. Tarek already showing his face, but with only pistols, Kingwin don't have much of a response.
Yeah, I mean, they burn off a little bit of time from the clock, but they just wind up getting killed at the bottom of middle regardless. You know, they disengage, they take a second route, they reposition, and the outcome the same.
Manice insta-buys that AWP, and I'm not sure what kind of spawn he's working with, but T-side can be very spawn-based. Here he's not got the best long spawn to work with, but it seems like he's gearing up to jump fast cat. Wants to peek the cross, actually holds.
Yeah, a little scared if you ask me.
Interesting way to play that. Just kind of risked getting peeked.
This is a large volley of grenades thrown up towards long, but they're going to walk into Fallen. And he's going to try to get out a dodge, but he can't turn back around fast enough. Despite Cold being there, it is Taz to drop both bodies. Tarek up next, coming in off of Cat with a 2K. The bomb hits the dirt yet again. They've stumbled into some difficulties. It is MIBR locking things down.
Man, that's crazy. It seemed like Taz was going to get the 3K entry of Cat, and then it was going to be a complete change of pace for Kingwin. They're about to pull that rifle round together, but instead, Tarek comes through as the third man there, the fast rotation, the great mechanical skill, a great display of good sprays, and 3 kills so that his teammates don't even have to worry about dealing with a bomb plant. Kingwin down to absolutely nothing. They've got just a few deagles, at least favored to buy a little bit of a couple of smokes, a little bit of utility.
Yeah, they're kind of stuck in that limbo stage where you've got that max loss bonus, but not any win bonus. So you'll just buy eco until eventually something happens for you. But this probably won't be one of those rounds. MIBR have been confident, especially up against those pistols. No fear. This is Kingwin again. This time they get controllers short. They do sit still in middle, but Cold Zero is not going to cower behind the smoke. Instead, he peeks ahead. Kingwin just desperate for a pick at this point. But MIBR not giving them a thing.
A lot of T's at mid, and again, they're kind of posturing for the mid to B, but what's most common for the CTs is to have one person on either side of CT spawn just in case there is a mid to B, because B is going to be the hardest site to retake on either a rifle or an eco round even, especially if you drop an op. If there's an op in B and the pistoling players grab one, there's pretty much no way that you can get back in the window or the door, and unless you have a big flank and tunnel, it's round over. So you see a lot of teams play the 2-1-2. Long rushes are also hard to defend against, but on rifle rounds you might need 3 people. On ecos, you know, you need 1 or 2.
Shadow gives way to the 3K. Cold Zero with one hell of a spray down. I mean, multi-frags have been the name of the game for MIBR in these opening 6. Every time Kingwin seemed to have some kind of a stance, some sort of footing, it's just denied entirely. Cold Zero.
Yeah, this double mid setup as well has just been lethal from the CT side, right? We've just been seeing Fur and Cold Zero float around that area while still having at least one player committed towards B. So Kingwin, they've constantly tried to go for these mid plays, but we've never once seen mid to B smoke or actual flash execute to get themselves out. It seems like the second they use utility, MIBR just go for all these wallbangs and hold them back.
There will definitely be a lot to say depending on how this round is played out as to what Kingwin can do differently. Bomb stuck in spawn as all of Kingwin want to spread out, take a feel for the map, see if anything aggressive occurs, and then we'll find out afterwards what their decision will be. No reason for MIBR to go out of their way to find a kill. Stewie doing his due diligence and jumping up on the box to peer into the back of B, and he's offered up a free frag. Taz going down for no information like that is going to make this round a whole lot more difficult for Kingwin. And they also don't know about this second op.
Fur's got to be careful, that smoke beginning to fade, and Nanais has been here positioned waiting for his pick. Rollins just above him, so that's 2 scope snipers down through the middle doors, but eventually they'll find another sniper on the course. It is Fallen with a solid hold. Sure enough, Cold Zero there, just in case there's an additional peek, and there are players nearby. It's still the entirety of what remains here from Kingwin. 3 men floating up on Cat.
Even less reason to move.
Yeah, they seem very confident in just giving Kingwin some map control when they are at man disadvantage. MIBR just able to then fall back onto their holds confidently.
30 seconds left. They've got to make a move now. They're finally making their way up through short. We've barely seen them touch the site before, and this is why Fallen hitting a quick shot after Cold Zero going down, and he's repositioned back for a second one. Time really is the problem here for Kingwin, plus the fact that they're only half as equipped in terms of player numbers. Bomb going down, but the fast short push from Fur is perfectly timed, and he'll find both. Clean as you like it. 8 rounds.
It's a beautiful situation for MIBR to be in, because not only do you have Fallen replacing the player who was initially watching Cat once Kingwin are able to find themselves an entry kill, but you saw how Fallen's support player on Long was allocated to watching long doors. Fallen could then just take a breath, relax, and all the while realize Fur was coming in from Catwalk in only maybe 5-10 seconds time. So Fallen's able to coolly pick up some initial kills, and then you've got 2 guys stranded in the bomb site desperately looking for